Welcome, everyone. Good afternoon, actually. I see I lost my competition with a dinner, but I think things will improve. People are still coming. Did ever happen to you that someone came to you and said, please deploy me system for 7,000 concurrent users? You will handle for sure, it's easy. You will do that in a few days or a few weeks. And it will be nice if you will have already the concept before Friday. How many of you had that situation happen? Maybe not about 7,000, maybe different number, but still the challenge. How many times did you accept that? No one, really? Yeah, there are a few brave men. My name is Miroslaw Bartecki. I'm a chief architect for Capgemini Business Services, and I will share my story, how this was happened to me. I'm always driven by client demands. Whatever client says, I want a blue or pink elephant, I'm trying to deliver. That's my first objective, and probably for all of you, it's the same. Business drives demands. Business always is right because that money comes from. What was the challenge given to me? I can share the 3 key facts. First one, we had to focus in our business services to deliver the process which is called query to resolution. How many of you know what's the query to resolution process? Okay, not too much people. I will describe shortly. It's the thing which you asking as a client. Let's say that you are a client of, I don't know, internet provider. You wanted to fix your line or ask about the bonus upgrade or whatever else. You asking your provider, please do that, or my payment wasn't right and I wanted to fix that. That's the query, and resolution happening on the second side. It's not actually the call center. It's the job of financial accountant or someone who is sitting on the second side of your email, of your phone, or it could be also the call center. We are doing these services as a business services business unit for Capgemini within 20,000 people around the world. We are supporting the financial process. We are not delivering the support for handling the calls. Still, it's the same process. You are querying, we are resolving your issue and responding. It seemed to be a very simple process, but it just looks simple. Some of you will say it's just 3 steps. You're just sending the requests, you have some obligation to resolve, and you're responding. But it only looks that simple. I will show you why it's not. The second requirement was that we will deal with 100 engagements. Engagement for us is a client, and that's the client scale like Coca-Cola, Syngenta, or other big brands. That it's a big challenge because multi-tenancy for a few clients is not a big thing. For 100 is a real challenge. At least it was shown by our business clients at the start. And at the third, automation should be my primary driver, that whatever I can automate, for example, the query can be responded automatically, I should apply this technology into Jira. And of course, the key thing which I should rely on was Jira as a base platform which I should implement. What were the pitfalls or problems? First of all, our old system allowed us to make some estimation. We knew that there is 7 million tickets per year to be served. This 7 million is not like ticket for a development process. It's a ticket who will be always touched by human. That 1 ticket means 1 gentleman or lady will take care about this ticket in some point of time, respond, and you will get that answer by email or by a phone. It depends on the channel. The second important factor is that we will handle 8,000 concurrent users. And this 8,000 concurrent users means we are handling this concurrent session around the world. that there are some peaks like overlap between Asia, Europe, and America, where this 8,000 are showing. That there is a 1 hour, or actually sometimes half an hour, depends on the time zone or shift from the summer daylight and winter, when this is overlapping 1 hour. And this 8,000 concurrent users is not the maximum registered number of users. Registered number is 20,000. The third is about the full text index search. It's not the thing which you can get at the start. It was the estimation done using Jira tools, plus the knowledge how much data, the structured data we're handling currently. And after my rough calculation, I was getting the information that is a 1 terabyte full text search index. For those who know how the index operates, it should be one single space to deliver the indexing capabilities. And that's the first warning or red sign. Will be some problems with that for sure, because you can't handle 1 terabyte of data easily if they are not databases like Oracle behind. And what influenced the complexity is the 110 endpoints. We had 110 endpoints, and in my opinion, that's the most complex thing to deliver the data into that system from 100 system outside. The system from outside can be your other ticketing system, it can be your data center business process system, or it can be mail server or FTP server or whatever else client can send you the ticket. This 110 endpoints, it's not itself Jira capability, but it will impact your performance. If 100 system is calling your Jira system from outside, for sure you can expect the problem, because some of them are required to respond very quickly. And other, I would call that minor technical requirements impacted that even more heavily. These 4 factors are, for me, the scary one. I was having the eyes like guinea pig, this kind of, when I showed this list. And after was even worse, because I was realizing that it can't work just as a standard Jira project deployment. Some of the advices which I heard was, let's go with Jira Data Center. It will be easy, you can deploy it fast, and maybe it will be more expensive from licensing perspective, but for sure you will get it. That was not actually true, and I will tell you why. But let's start on the list of technical requirements, because I'm mostly technical guy, not the business one. That you have a customized workflow per tenant. Tenant means one client. Let's say that the Coca-Cola is your client, Coca-Cola sending your requests, or clients of Coca-Cola clients are sending the requests, and they have a customized workflow, which means they are starting to send the ticket to you. You get that ticket, but for example, when you're starting to resolve that ticket, you should send to Coca-Cola confirmation. I started that ticket, I received your attachment, there looks like that, and my estimation is that it will take 5 days. Again, some will say there are nice plugins who will do that for you, and you will be happy. Yes, they are, but we never met the plugin which will fit this workflow demands in 100%. Always there is some customization need, and this combined with 100 clients impact your performance. If the process is executed differently for each tenant or each client, you will get the complexity multiplied by 100. Let's say that the 100 is the number of your clients. You have to have detailed KPI monitoring. That's the limit when you can't resign of measuring everything in Jira. Some of the performance advisor will say, you can resign from measuring, I don't know, how fast the ticket was resolved or how many keywords were used to be searched in that ticket, but you can't remove that. You should stay with a full reporting capability in Jira, plus some extensions and the specific demands from client side. You have to have custom acknowledgement per client, and that's the thing which you can't find in Jira. If you receive that by email, There is sometimes demand that you will send the confirmation SMS. Yes, we got your ticket. We will resolve that soon. And that's your SMS to prove that the ticket number 500,005 will be taken care of shortly. You have a full text search for a ticket content, and that's the trick. I never realized that the ticket content always includes the attachment. Let's imagine that you have an attachment of 100 megabytes. That's the invoice from your telecom provider, and you have to index each single page in single line in your Jira index. That's the scary part, because you can expect the highly performance approach or performance bottlenecks there. To process 100 megabytes PDF, usually any system needs 5 minutes or 10, depends on the power of the system, to process that. And that will impact your problems on concurrency. You can expect the constant low response time. Why I'm saying so? It's easy to say Jira is responding 2 seconds normally. Enjoy the performance. It's perfect tool. You will not be crying because of that someone is calling and saying, I wait 25 seconds. It's nice to say as long you have no operations like we in New Zealand or Australia and your data center is in Germany, which actually impacts the travel of a packet between Australia and Germany. I can say by my check is that 30 hops as a minimum, depends on the provider which you have. And this 30 hops takes 30 seconds to deliver empty packet between Australia and Germany. There's no good solution for that. We used some custom provider or tunneling. It was faster, but still, until those days, Australia can expect delays, which is this 2 seconds plus the travel time of the packet. And if Jira doesn't operate as a Amazon Web Services or any other cloud provider, we can't just replicate every database state across the world because it will cost fortune. You can expect that each item or each task or issue, as is Jira's name issue, we are calling that work item or ticket. You can handle multiple attachment. I have 2 rewards for good answer, and who will be closest to the correct one will get it. Please guess how much attachment we had in the biggest ticket or most complex one. 100. No? 100 was first vote? No? No? Also no? Some other ideas? 300? You are the closest, you won. It's 255 attachment. It's not because of it's coming from the bits. Where are you? That's for you. I know it was a blind guess, but will be the second competition about the real technical knowledge. And this will come the second, the disguised reward. Coming back to the point. The biggest ticket which we observed can come with 255 attachments, and you can say, what's there? Why you wanted to ask about something which costs 200 attachments in there? Let's imagine that you are, I don't know, Starbucks delivery point, and you're delivering a coffee, and you had the discrepancies from last year of your coffee delivery. That, for example, each delivery note or purchase order or invoice had problem in there. That you just loading the 250 invoices in there and saying, please fix my problem. On each invoice, I just realized there is a, I don't know, incorrect VAT number or whatever else you discovered. That's where this kind of tickets, of course, you can find different because we are dealing also with remits, with check payments and so on. But it can happen that 250 is nothing special. Actually, it was a request from one client to send 700 once, but we said no because it was exceeded the timeout allowed in Jira. The biggest problem for us is the multi-time zone operation. I heard from Allegro presentation that the reindexing, it takes 45 minutes for them each week. We can't have 45 minutes. That's the first limit which we have. You can have a maintenance windows, most like a bank, once per year or once per quarter, and that's our release calendar. But normally, if you are operating in the Middle East, in Africa, in New Zealand, or Australia, China, and US, plus of course Europe, you can say you are operating 24 hours per week, and some will say Sunday is a good day, no one is working in your office. That could be true, but the Arabic countries has a free day Friday, and Saturday and Sunday is the day of hard work for them. I actually hit myself with that because when I was flying using Emirates, they were constantly calling at Sunday to ask me about the things related to my flight. I was wondering why, then I was getting the answer, Sunday is just the work day for them. And integration endpoints should be sometimes REST API. Why I'm saying so? REST API has a limit. If you will send this 200 attachments by REST, you have 2 minutes to deliver, index, and respond. You can't do that actually easily, and that's why this technical requirements impacted the bottlenecks. Of course, there were 200 other requirements which are not listed in here. They are the most tricky one, which I was focused on and which deliver me pain sometimes in the middle of the night. Of course, like we are saying in Poland, the devil is hidden in the details. That 3 factors which I would advise anyone in the future to focus on is the workflow, attachment, and indexing. In Jira, they are strength of Jira when you're dealing with a simple ticketing, like I'm creating a ticket to develop any software, and you can expect problems when you will have a big system like this one described. Why workflow? With workflow, each step will have an impact on performance. If you have 100 steps in your workflow, you can expect the delays. I will describe later on why. If you have an indexing requirement, because if you don't, you just disable indexing, the full text indexing in Jira, and your problem will go away. And attachment, has a one big limit. There was in Jira 6.2, 3, and 4 hard limit. There was one flat structure for files. That's the second challenge. Who know how much files you can store in one flat folder in extended free file system under Linux? There's the exact number. Who knows that number will win this gray box or whatever. It's the color. I'm a man. Apologize if that's different kind of. Any ideas? What's the limit of the folder? I not. No, but you are close. 4 million was the last bit. Please guess, it's not harmful. It's 100 people. No, less than 3 million, 3,500,000. Almost, better guess? No, 1.9 is more than 1.5. That. Any other brave guess? You are the closest one that you won the disguise prize is 1,024 inodes or files in one flat folder. Why is so important? The case in here is that I mentioned that we are dealing with 7 million tickets, and I mentioned that each ticket will have 1 or 200 attachments. That you can expect 7 million as a minimum number of attachments. When you will reach this million, you will get the eyes, like I demonstrated before. Wow, system stop, what's now? You will get the message in the log, the storage is corrupted, you can't write more. And let's focus now on the workflow engine. That will be pretty quick because one key factor which I wanted to point on is that you can make a scripting in your workflow. Jira is using OpenSymphony indexing under. OpenSymphony is pretty old workflow engine, pretty old, that it's older than my career, and I'm working 15 years. It's very effective. It just takes millisecond to serve one step, and you will say, nice, 1 millisecond gives nothing. As long you are not executing for one step this million times. And when this can happen, for example, when you're trying to index your 200 attachments, or maybe one PDF which handles 100 megabytes. The workflow should have a fine-grained processing. What I mean under that? You can say it's 3 steps enough to serve the ticket. Start, processing, end. Yes, as long as there is no fork. For example, if the start was happening 2 days ago and your ticket is overdue, then escalate, move to another state and do something else. Then you can see it's around 5 steps, and you can complicate more, and we end up with 25 steps instead of 3. And the save point. What's the case about save points? To go to deep technical dive, I had to make the profiling on the Jira. Why sometimes we're spending 5 hours to analyze or make the ticket to be processed from one step to another. And it will show up that they are save points. On each data change which you do in the ticket, there is an assumption that is like transaction for a bank. It has to be stored that you change something, and reindexing should happen. Reindexing will also involve the workflow. And the save point is the point where you can save the states in index and in database. This save point was executed, of course, all the time when the data were hit into the index. And this save point was for every word stated in this ticket. For example, you just change the comment about the ticket. For example, this ticket is not relevant. Please take care on your side because our financial system is not the right one to give the answer. But then when this lady or gentleman clicked saved, this save point was checked 1 million times, or even more, if you like. 1 million times multiplied by milliseconds will give you a nice number, and actually, you know, it's not millisecond all the time. Then on the end, you can expect just bottlenecks, system freeze, or problems. When I showed the stack, the call stack to my managers, they said, give me this presentation or the tree away. I don't understand what you're showing me. Still, they like the number. The biggest one which I saw was 1 billion method calls inside one processing. And what was the fun fact? The integer in Java is 2 billions. And I was first time seeing that this integer is minus 2 billions. Means it was exceeded the number, and I really don't know how much time they were wrapping around and starting from the scratch. That was the scary part, that you can have billions of calls per one click of single user. What is the case about full text search and indexing? The full text search index is a nice thing, but the concurrency is limited. Usually the default Jira setting is that 20 threads is accessing your index. You can say, let's give 50 or 100, you will be happy. It's not actually true, because you are always accessing the same storage. You can't just split to 5 storage systems. Let's assume that you have one, it's really fast, even the flash still it needs to be synced. The storage is sequential. Even if someone is pretending it's not, if someone is saying our is multi-access storage, on the end it's sequential. You can't access 5 things at the same time to any storage. There are caches who will handle that, but we reach the limit of any storage by checking how much throughput you can get on write. On read, yes, there are even more caching mechanisms, and if we will enable the cache, our indexing time was decreased on this terabyte to a few hours, but that wasn't the solution. To get the performance expected by the client and no downtime, we have to sort it out differently. Please imagine that you wanted to try another approach. You wanted to find something in your ticket which is about your VAT number. And some questions are going like that. Give me your VAT number, I will find which invoices you pasted as a ticket issue, and I will give you the answer. Then you have to index everything inside the PDF, and that's why your index has to be full. Some people advise me, let's disable this index completely or disable the indexing of PDF. I could do that, but it's not supported just for specific type of files. And secondly, client doesn't agree to do that because we have to state and search everything what was inside. Probably most of you know that the index is based on Lucene. Lucene is the known Apache engine. There are, of course, modern wrapping of that. Still, the Lucene index is very performant one. But I wouldn't advise without changing that code underneath, which you have to do to operate for this number of issues or attachments. What we did, some things were indexed in the flight, some other not. For example, we excluded HTML tags, email wrappers on envelopes, and other not necessarily required things to be searched. And there's a split. Database will get full state, and index will get just specific wording or approved words by us. It's not like you can find the H1 tag from HTML in each ticket because it's useless from the business perspective. But to do that, I had to write myself the code which changed the Jira core, which of course you are losing the warranty and problem starts. The second approach, you will write the plugin, and plugin has one limit. You can't influence the Jira core. You can't change the workflow, indexing, and 3 other mechanisms. That, or you will break the license, or you have not working system. That was the choice. Of course, after a time, we work with Atlassian, and they change the limits. If you are dealing with attachments right now, on Atlassian, they implemented almost the same mechanism which we did. They storing files by 100 or 10,000 in one file maximum. I've implemented the 3, which the folder is never contain more than 10, and it's like the split divided 3, most effective from computing perspective, but very complex to maintain. The last important statement about the fragmentation. You can say, let's do with index, let's index everything, and you will be happy by sequential change. You can say that, but the point of reindexing should happen sometime because the index of this size is going fragmented, like the fragmentation on the disk. And then entire Jira is stopping, waiting for this reindexing, and then you have a 12 hours break for your operation, which should happen at 0 times per year, and in our case, that was one of the next shock after changing the limits on the file system storage. And the 3 factors at the time, to just remind you, millions of attachments can hit your performance that what was easy on the start as the outcome was really hard pain to change. Changing the core in 3 points, which is indexing, attachment, and workflow, it's the thing which none of the developer want to touch. That was the risk that if they will broke something, your tickets will be changed, your state will be changed, and you will never recover it. Happily, it was worked and working until this day, but you can say it's a risky behavior and was a tough decision from management side. Let's do that and improve. Like I said, lastly, Atlassian did the improvements, and right now half of them are changed in version 7. And you can operate more or less safely. Still some issues remained. Going deep dive, I'm dealing mostly with performance tuning as a hobby side of job. And this performance tuning is about Java. They are not written habits or approach. G1 garbage collector in Java is self-tuning one. You can say so about the Jira. If you hit the throughput of the 1 terabyte of memory processed per second, you can see amazing things, and self-tuning doesn't work. And the millisecond of the Java method calls, like I mentioned, impact your performance, that whatever you can see milliseconds and remember about your millions of Java method calls, please remind yourself, or let's review your strategy, and maybe this process won't work for you. To tell you how I did the deep dive on this part, I'm not sure that you can see these numbers, but you can see total bytes allocated by garbage collector, means on the memory management, is 104 terabytes per second. That's for those who are dealing with infrastructure, shows that this hardware wasn't the weak one, or you need 5 new machines. And that will solve the problem, because like I was starting the talk, let's implement the 7,000 concurrent users, and that will be easy, or you will get the 8 million of tickets. It's nice. No, it's not, because more hardware won't suffer that, even if you will have the Google power without splitting. I did more charts in here for those who wanted to talk about the break. What I'm calling in here is a perfect example how you well tune the Jira, because that's the level of memory for one instance which you can reach, and the red dot means you did something wrong and your whole world was stopped. Means in this left corner, after Jira is starting, Jira is making few optimization, and that's the only place when our Jira is stopping. Means clients never hit the freeze because of garbage collector. I spent on that 1 month to tune it in this way. That, believe me, it's not easy task to tune, and the tuning is always happening for your traffic shape, that there is no advice which I can give you. Give this line of parameters and will be fine. If you will hit less attachments, your attachments will be more structured instead of PDF. You will get different values, different numbers, and different tuning needs. The total post time over runtime, it's placed in seconds, that you can see sometimes you can get the remark, and remark is just the note that something should be reindexed, but the stop the word, like I mentioned, was happened only in this moment. To get to the point, security. In the old system, we had the one big problem. There was 40,000 roles or rules, whatever you will call that, for one single client. That, let's imagine that you are mentioned Coca-Cola, and you have to check 40,000 roles. If you are one of them, that you are granted. If not, sorry, you can't see the ticket or part of the ticket. We have to change this security model, and that's what I'm calling security, fine-grained security. What's the problem? We have to check that on each step execution, you have to have permission check. One of these 40,000, no, it won't work. I can ensure you that none of the workflow system without customization can handle. I did the tuning of a previous system. I won't say too much about that, but it's impossible to do that effectively, even if you will have cache for million of method invokes, multiply this 40,000, I don't know what the number you will get, but still, it's not feasible. Enforcing 10,000 roles is just 4 times less, still not enough, and we were finished on few roles. That was a simplification, but you will get the risk of someone who can see your financial or private data without authorization, and then you have to balance what the user permission will be. For one project, we did a separation on the teams, that in one team, everyone can see the tickets. That if you are dealing with finance for China, you are able to deal with Chinese credit card numbers, and that's it. You can't solve it in different way. That's what I am calling that it's a no cross-tenant data visibility. If you are working for 2 clients, you won't see this data from tenants easily. You have to just relog in, change your role, or switch to another user account. And on the end, a few advices how to avoid these problems which I had or struggled. Like I said, finally the system until those days works perfectly. Clients are happy. Response time is 2 seconds, except Australia, but I won't fix the size of the earth. And first advice is deep dive on performance factor. When you will get the number, check as much as you can to enable your system to be stable by next year or months. Without checking each factor, the indexing, the attachments, number of tickets, concurrency, the maintenance window, you can't say it will work. I won't risk second time to say, yeah, I will do that until Friday. Test with 100% of target volume. I know it's easy to say, how can I get 7 million different attachments? And it has to be different because, you know, caching will happen and immediately your one attachment multiplied by 7 million will pretend that you are safe. But yes, you have to think about this at the start. 7 million tickets to be tested, not like we did on start on 100,000, because I wouldn't be then surprised on this million attachment element limit exceeded, your storage won't respond to you. Test with 100% case covered. Some of testing specialists will say it's impossible. You can't cover 100% of your test cases. I know, but please be close, at least close. Because if you will test one action, create ticket, resolve ticket, close ticket, it won't give you even a brief answer. The system is stable or efficient. Optimize your plugins. Oh, that was the pain on my head. We bought a lot of plugins to support the email communication, to support the indexing, and so on. But they are doing so much magic inside, like 50 save points instead of 1, that we have to cooperate with all of them to improve the performance. Of course, for them, that was a product improvement. For us, it was urgent need to run the production continuously. If you will hit this on production, you are not only surprised, but your clients will complain very quickly, and you're losing simply the money. And the last one, that's the balanced security model. Forget about 50,000 roles in any workflow-based system. What's impossible? And that's it from my side on today. I wish you luck with these volumes. If you have ever hit that, and do you have any questions? Please do at least 1 or 2, because I will say that is or not understandable or miserable, or I will switch to Polish. Thank you. You saved me.
How long it actually took you to implement this Jira service?
We spent about 3 months at the start to test, to prepare, to set up the servers, and so on. And to fix that, I spent about the next 3 months by applying the fixes on plugins, fixes on core. That you can say 6 months to be fully secured. But yes, these 3 months on me were very crucial. This preparation state was normal, like agile project. Oh, there's one more. Nice.
would you tell us which plugins can provide you 100 of save points per click, just to save some of us?
I think I won't be liked by people who did this plugin. I can say what was the category. I won't say the vendor, because there are only 2 plugins in that area. Please choose one. But to be fair, none of them were making better way these save points. And there were mail handling plugins that if you will search the category, sorry that I won't make them bad press, but both of them were making this badly enough. More questions? Yep, was a question about infrastructure. That's the last one, I promise. We are handling own data center. There are 2 mirrored data centers in Frankfurt, and they are chassis, whatever is the proper name in English, blade servers. These blade servers are connected to the storage, the enterprise class storage. This storage is about 150 terabytes of flash data under. And these servers are virtualized. That I won't say you what was the latest spec, but when I was dealing last time, it was 12 cores per CPU, and 4 CPU were in one box. That you can't get lower, higher than 48 cores per one Jira instance. We are handling 5 instances in parallel because this 100 clients for multi-tenancy can't be handled better. If you want to know more, we can discuss on the break. Thanks a lot.